What's up, guys? Barry Game here, back with some more Idle Heroes, and today we're gonna try to retreat a little bit from all the end game looking and stuff like that. It's been a while since we've talked a lot about some of the earlier game, and just breaking down some more guides and some basic info for newer players, because we have a brand new wave of heroes that started roughly around, like the anniversary, what was it, the 6th anniversary? Is that how long the game's been going on? Somewhere around there. We've been doing it for a while now, but a lot of people still have a ton of questions about a ton of heroes. Today we're going to talk about probably what is the strongest faction overall, I would say. The heroes are just like some of the most important heroes in different game modes. Yeah, let's talk about it. So let's jump into the Shadow faction. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys take 1 second, hit that subscribe button. Let's get going. What can we say? They have probably one of the strongest non-Transcendence heroes in the game. They have one of the most dominant early game heroes. They have one of the best the best PvE damage dealer in the game, and they have one of the most important pre-Transcendence hero transformation heroes as well. So let's jump into it. Let's go with like what heroes should even be built in the Shadow faction. I know everybody memes about Bade. You don't want to build any hero up to about this slot right here, and we'll start with the oldest of the heroes of the ones we're going to talk about, Jara. So as a base hero, Jara is not a great hero. The only reason why we always talk about Jara is because of her Starwing Jara. Can you guys tell what type of videos I've been making a lot of lately? Starwing Jara, which is the most dominant CC hero in the game. You need her for a lot of game modes. She makes them a lot easier. Being able to go before the enemy, having your allies give you energy and layers of focus that gives you penetration for your control abilities, and then her active ability being absolutely dominant, let alone her tree letting you have even more CC, more focus, more energy. She gets completely out of control, and her core allows you to have some additional CC opportunities. So that's the first hero you want to keep hero copies of on your account, because most likely at some point on the history of your account, you're going to want to build a Starwing Jara. I almost said Sword Flash again. Starwing Jara, and she's just absolutely powerful. So keep 9 hero copies at any one time of Jara. If you go over 9, then you can afford to, feed them off if you want, or use them for Soul Awakenings to try to get a really good hero copy. Next up on the list is Horus. Horus is one hero that used to be one of the most dominant PvE and early game heroes in the game. However, he's now eclipsed by a lot of other heroes in this game. Number 1, though, he is still an okay first E5 hero. Is he like one of the best ones? Absolutely not. If you can absolutely not get other hero copies, he's okay to build, but he is a relic of the past. He did get a buff at one point that made him even stronger. He just doesn't really do it anymore. Gustin is a hero copy you're going to want to keep some hero copies of. If you are planning to push very far in Sealand, like past Sealand 20, Gustin is going to be a big help to you. He is also a tenant for one of the most important heroes that we'll touch on later on as well. So I would keep 9 copies of Gustin. Overall, he's not that dominant of a hero. He is a priest. He's a supporter. He can remove energy. He can heal. He can get rid of debuffs, things like that. But overall, you're not going to use him a lot. But that does bring us to the next hero on this list, the most dominant PvE boss damage dealing hero in the game, Ithaqua. Even to this date, she is still on the strongest team, and I think she's like 2.5 years old at this point, and it mainly comes down to her poisonous blade. So most heroes' dots are based off of their attack values. However, Poisonous Blade is whenever she releases skills or normal attacks, it poisons the target, dealing damage by 50%. Now this can even go higher up, I believe. Where is it? Is it this one? 60% of the damage dealt turns into a dot. That means things like Drake's debuff to the armor down, removing defenses from the enemy, Heart Watcher's mark that stack up a bunch of stuff. Those things all contribute to how strong this dot is going to be. Yeah. You can kind of see why she can be one of the most dominant heroes in the game, because it's based on all the other buffs. And if we keep getting more and more buffs in the game, we've seen people, I think Rexy got a minus or something like that, Ithaqua with a giant killer. She was breaking the damage calculations in the game, like just absolutely crazy. definitely keep her because, again, she is going to be a tenant for one of the heroes we talk about as well. Tix is a hero that you can keep because of 2 reasons. Number 1, he can be used as a tenant for the hero we're going to talk about. Number 2 is he's very dominant in everything up to the newest game modes. That means Tower of Oblivion, having at least a 10-star Tix on your account, it's going to make your Tower of Oblivion run much easier. Aspen Dungeon, getting to Death 100 and getting into Purgatory, Tix is going to be one of the easiest answers for your account as well. Getting even through a lot of places like Sealand, he can get you all the way done with Sealand by himself. He's just very dominant in the early game, the older game modes. Once you break past Sealand 20, once you get into Tower of Dreams, all those newer game modes, his ability doesn't work as well. Why? Because they lowered the attack value that all the enemies have in PvE scenarios, because he was dealing 800% of the target's attack on his active ability, which was a crazy high amount. Now the enemies have a much lower attack value. This active ability doesn't do nearly as much damage. He still has some pretty cool support abilities and stuff, like his Revenging Wraith. When he dies, he can start inflicting damage on the enemy that killed him. Kind of cool synergies, but it is what it is. We're going to skip Eloise and talk about her last because she is the most important one. Ankurimaru is a tenant for Sword Flash Shia if that is the route you are going for. Besides that, not much to note for him. He can be decent as a supporter in Sealand for Sword Flash, or not Sword Flash, for your Eloise or your Jara, but again, not that great. Annabelle is a hero you're going to want to keep as many copies of as possible. She is very good at supporting in Sealand 21+, especially if you're using a Starwing Jara to do your work for you. Her ability to inflict this little reinforcement spell is really, really strong because it turns the active skill of enemies into a heal, essentially, for your team. So instead of them doing their giant active ability, damage dealing abilities, it turns it into a heal. And she does that both when she dies and on her active ability. So it's kind of cool. She's a very good supporter. Honestly, I think I've already built 3 of her, getting ready to do a Starwing Jara Shadow Sealand push. Should be interesting to see. And then we have the newest hero, Azrael. As a hero by himself, not great. As a Transcendence hero, niche PvP style hero. Haven't really found too many uses for him yet. You can keep some copies because he is a Transcendence hero, but blah, blah, blah. We don't care about that. Moving on to the main event, Eloise. Eloise is the best hero in the game outside of Transcendence heroes. She essentially is a Transcendence hero. She is so strong. She has tons of survivability between her block. Her counterattacks can heal her. She does tons and tons of damage. She is the best first E5 hero to build because she will also carry you all the way to Vanquisher and Void Vortex. She can get Defier solo pretty much done. What you do if you pick to choose Eloise as your first E5 hero, that means typically you want to build Fairy Queen Vesta as your first Transcendence hero to support. So let me know what you guys think. We'll probably be going over all the factions in the weeks to come, but this one is by far the strongest and have some of the most key important heroes in the game. So make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next time.